Alright folks, welcome to the digital calipers portion of our training. Hopefully you've reviewed the PowerPoint first. Some of this is on there. What we need to look at here is what we call the head of the calipers. That's the whole unit here. Real quick rundown. These are called the jaws that are opening up here. Here and here, and down here we have what's called the depth gauge. As the PowerPoint told us, we need to make sure it's 0 when the jaws are tightly closed, and it is. If it's not, we reset it with 0. Make sure it's in inches, which it is, not in millimeters. That's what millimeters look like that. Inches look like that. Alright, so let's get started. First of all, jaws measure the outside or the inside of something, and the depth gauge measures the depth of something. Now I'll demonstrate that. First, the outside. Open the jaws wider than the object you're measuring. Slip them over it. And snug them up against it. And that shows us this measures 0.877. So if we look at our little cheat sheet here, 0.877 falls between 875 and 9375. 877 is just slightly bigger than 875 if we forget the decimal point, as we talked about in the measurement video. So we would call that off. Remember, rounding down, 875, whoops, sorry, you couldn't see that, 875, or 7/8 of an inch. Okay. We'll also measure the inside of something. That uses these jaws. We do that by starting off smaller and then going in until they touch snugly. And we see that measurement is 0.839. Okay. 0.839. Let's see. It's just over 0.8125. 839 is bigger than 812, but smaller than 875. So we'd call it off, rounding down at 0.8125 or 13/16. And lastly, to measure the depth of something, we use the depth gauge. You make sure this edge is resting on the top and that the depth gauge bottoms out in the bottom, like so. Okay. And that shows us it measures 0.746. So 746 without the decimal point. Look here, 75, smaller than that, but just slightly, but we still on the safe side when we're dealing with tolerances. We round down, so we're going to go with 0.6875. It's between 687 and 750, and 6875 is what? 11/16. Okay. Now for the full meal deal. Okay, so now here's what the training's all about. What you see there before you is the primary seal of an IGU. Same IGU that's pictured in earlier parts of this training. So we're going to measure it. Start at the end. Put your jaws on the inside. Make sure it's lined up exact. Oops. Tighten in a little. All right. It's 0.342. So what's that tell us? Our tolerance, we know, is 0.3125 at the high side and 0.25 at the low side. It's a little over tolerance, So that's good. Much wider than that and it would be too wide. So technically it's out of tolerance, but this would be passable. And you'll learn much more about this and get to practice in your classroom setting. But that gives you a starting point. Hope you've enjoyed this training. I've enjoyed teaching it, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.